Welcome to another edition of The Rundown. Going to be breaking down the Week 14 Sunday games, and I want to start off talking about Sunday Night Football between the Texans and the Chiefs. The Chiefs lost 20-10, and this game, it was just a slog, man. Both offenses were just inept, especially KC. Obviously, they had three of their starting O linemen out, and I said before the game that they would be lucky to get even 10 points, and that's exactly what they got. Although the Chiefs had opportunities to get more points, first possession of the game for the Chiefs, I don't know, it just felt cursed right from the bat. The Chiefs on a 3rd and 4. Noah Gray drops a ball from Mahomes. Texans get it back and then punt again. And then the Chiefs again on a 3rd and 4. Mahomes tries to throw it. It gets deflected and the man gets sacked. And that's just a horrible 2 possessions to start off with. And the Texans, they had their struggles on offense. CJ was still able to make some big plays, though. He had a 45-yarder to Collins in the first quarter. Early in the second, Collins also got a crazy amount of yards after catch, and they had like a 50-yard completion, and they go up 10-0. And after that, the Chiefs get the ball back, and they try to cut down the lead, and Mahomes throws an interception, and he just throws it to Juju Smith-Schuster. It goes off his hands, and Jalen Petre picks it off. Houston didn't do anything off of that. Although towards the end of the second half, Harrison Butker missed a 43-yarder, which kind of loomed large in the game. So the Chiefs were down 10-0 going into the second half. And I got to give the Chiefs credit for this. And I mean, I sound like a broken record saying it because they always fight back, but they made a valiant effort to try to get back in the game. Mahomes had a 35-yarder to Hollywood Brown, and that helped them get a TD to make it 10-7. And then they had the opportunity to take the lead towards the end of the third quarter. It's 3rd and 2 at Houston's 18, and Mahomes throws a little pitch to Kareem Hunt. He doesn't turn around on time, and it gets dropped. And Mahomes' receivers, they really, really let him down, and I'll get more into that later. Again, continuing with the Chiefs, beginning of the fourth, Mahomes throws a terrible interception to Kamari Lassiter, and still the Texans couldn't capitalize, but it was just an awful turnover that they couldn't get any points off of it. And later in the game, the Chiefs had a very baffling decision to go for it on 4th down. They're at their own 31-yard line. It's a tie game. They're terrible on short yardage situations. And Rashee Rice, he couldn't hold on to the ball. And pretty much went nowhere. And then the Texans offense all game, they couldn't do anything. And I don't know why the Chiefs decided to go for it on 4th down when the Texans offense wasn't doing anything. I could understand if it was a shootout and it's like, okay, we just got to go for this because our defense can't stop them. No, the defense was actually doing a pretty good job. So I don't understand why they would just go for it on their own 31. And obviously they didn't get that. And then CJ Stroud marches them down and they go up 17-10. And the funny part is the Chiefs still had a chance to tie this game up, even with all the ineptitude the offense was doing because the defense was playing pretty well. With 3 minutes and 40 seconds left, though, Mahomes throws it to Travis Kelce, and it goes off his hands, and it gets picked off. Mahomes and Kelce, they just been off this whole game, and it feels like, for the past, I don't know, 8 seasons they've been together. They've just been able to read each other's mind, and each of them knows where they're gonna go on the field. And Mahomes can pinpoint where exactly Travis Kelce is gonna stop on his routes. But this game they were just off, and Travis Kelce only had 8 yards this game. Mahomes pretty awful, 14 for 33. 160 yards, 0 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 19.7 QBR. Only 4 quarterbacks this past Sunday were worse than Mahomes. I know he had 18 pressures, but still, it wasn't good enough. I know that the offensive line wasn't good, but still not good enough. He did have 59 rushing yards, though, which was the most on the team. And unfortunately, he just has to run more because his running backs just aren't doing a good enough job. The Chiefs were 4 of 14 on 3rd down. That's pathetic, which makes it even more dumb that they decided to go for it on 4th and 1 at their own 31-yard line. It's over for the Chiefs. I've talked about this ad nauseum. They can kiss the playoffs goodbye. they needed to win out in order to have a chance to get into the dance, and they couldn't do that. And I talked about this before. Andy Reid needs to do some type of like reset this offseason because the offense, honestly, the past 2 seasons just hasn't been great. I know they made the Super Bowl last season, but even last season, their offense just wasn't great, and it hasn't been great this season, even though they've gotten all of their main targets back on the perimeter. Travis Kelce, shockingly, has 727 yards this season. Much better than I thought he would have had, but I don't know if he's going to play next season or not. And if he is going to play, he's probably going to have a little bit more of a diminished role, I imagine. So they need to find somebody to groom in the tight end spot. Obviously, you're not going to get another generational tight end like you did with Travis Kelce, but you need to have someone who's pretty competent. Yeah, like Andy Reid, he just needs to go back to the drawing board and figure out how to make this offense explosive again. Because Mahomes, for some reason, he's turning into Bo Nix. Like the man cannot hit deep balls. I know he threw a deep ball to Tyquan Thornton, and Kamari Laster just punched that out, and Tyquan Thornton should have held on to the ball, but just for the most part, Mahomes has just been off with the deep ball. CJ, on the other hand, was solid. I know his stat line wasn't particularly great. 15 of 31, 203 yards, 1 touchdown, but you know what? He didn't turn it over, which in a game like this where it's like a defensive slog, you just need to protect the ball, and that's exactly what he did. While Mahomes, on the other hand, I mean, I guess you could say 2 of his interceptions weren't on him, but nonetheless, he turned the ball over, and that's a big reason why the Chiefs lost and they weren't able to convert on third down. And I got to give CJ Stroud credit for this. I mean, the man had a few sacks, but he was able to stay in the pocket and made some big plays. He converted like a third down in 17, and they converted some other third downs, and they were 8 for 18 on third down. So I know that's not exactly crazy, but he made the plays he needed to, and they got the job done, and they got the dub. And honestly, when you have a great defense like the Texans do, all you got to do is take care of the ball and be able to produce some points. And that's exactly what they did. I said that the Texans would get close to 20 points or at least 20 points because I figured that they would dominate time of possession this game. I don't know exactly how the time of possession played out, but it did feel like the Texans had the ball a little bit more and they were able to sustain longer drives than the Chiefs did. I have a feeling that the Texans can get into the playoffs. I think right now they're the 7th seed in the playoff picture currently. I don't know how far they're going to be able to go in the playoffs because the offense isn't exactly great, but that defense, it'll certainly get them into the dance for sure. Now I want to move on to Green Bay and Chicago. Green Bay won 28-21, and honestly, this was an awesome game for the most part. I mean, certainly in the first quarter, it wasn't an awesome game. It was 0-0 at the end of the first. Neither team could just get anything going offensively. Jordan Love threw an interception in the beginning, but the second quarter was when Green Bay really started to separate themselves. I mean, Jordan Love made some pretty big throws, and he just started to get into the rhythm and flow of the game, and the Packers were able to take a 14-3 lead at halftime. And Chicago, on the other hand, you could just tell that Ben Johnson just did not want to put too much on Caleb Williams' play. They kept running the ball over and over and over and over again. And I found that interesting. I mean, it made sense for them to run the ball over and over again, but it's not like they were getting like a bunch of gains out of running the ball. I mean, Swift in the game, his longest gain was 8 yards, and Manangai, his longest gain was 9 yards. So they weren't really able to generate any chunk plays out of the running game, but that's what Ben Johnson likes to do. He liked to do that in Detroit with Gibbs and Montgomery, and with him having decent running backs, he likes to do that with the Bears. Caleb Williams at halftime, 6 for 14, 32 yards. But I got to give Caleb Williams credit. He was able to turn it around in the second half. His stat line wasn't exactly supreme. He was like 13 of 21, 154 yards. But Chicago's defense came to play in the second half. They only gave up a touchdown in the third and the fourth. And Jordan Love's touchdowns, they were mainly like 5-6 play touchdowns. I mean, one of the touchdowns, Christian Watson was just able to get crazy yardage. Chicago was down 10 points in the third quarter, down 21-11. But they were able to tie this thing up at 21-21. And eventually they were down 28-21 and had the ball with 3 minutes and 32 seconds left. And Caleb Williams, on that drive, he did a lot of good things. He had a great 27-yard throw to Luther Burden, and he had another throw, which was one of his best throws of the day, where he's just rolling to his right and finds Devin Duvernay for 24 yards, which was like his second reception of the year. And Caleb Williams, he did a lot of that, just rolling to his right and just finding receivers. Caleb Williams is still not a great pocket passer yet, but I just think you got to get Caleb moving. I mean, obviously you can't do that all the time, but when he's able to get moving, rolling to his right, he's able to do some damage for sure. But unfortunately, he just made a bad throw at the end of the game. It's 4th and 1, 27 seconds left, and they're at Green Bay's 14-yard line. He rolls to his left. Colston Loveland has some space from Keyshawn Nixon in the end zone, but Caleb Williams' ball, it just didn't have enough mustard on it, and Nixon picks it off. Maybe if he had found Loveland earlier, he could have potentially had a touchdown to tie the game up. And I don't know what exactly the progression was, so maybe it's unreasonable for me to ask him to find Loveland earlier. It was an unfortunate play, and he still could have thrown a better ball. But considering it's against a division rival, against a good team, and Chicago being ahead of schedule, it's not the end of the world that they lost this game. I said it before that I thought that they were honestly playing with house money. If they lost this game, no big deal. If they won this game, great. It was honestly Green Bay who had most of the pressure on them, and kudos to them because they were able to pull out the dub. Jordan Love, he's been awesome. He was awesome this game. 17 to 25, 234 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. And it looks like Green Bay is starting to find their stride offensively after just being up and down in the middle part of the season. I hope like this is the mark for them to finally just turn it around and just be more consistent and be hot going into the playoffs. And now this division, the NFC North, it's certainly going to get interesting for sure. And I'm sure it's going to come down to the last game of the season or second to last game of the season on who exactly is going to win the division. Now I want to move on to Bills and Bengals. The Bills won 39 to 34. Joe Burrow was 25 of 36, 284 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Josh Allen was 22 of 28, 251 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Cincinnati, it looked like they were going to win this game. They were up 21 to 11, and the defense, like usual, kind of blew it. But Joe Burrow, I'm going to be honest, I think the main culprit of them losing this game, it's really on him because he just made some bad plays, especially in the fourth quarter. Fourth quarter with about 5 minutes left, Cincinnati's up 28-25. They're at Buffalo's 33, and he just threw a pick six, and that put Buffalo up 32 to 28. And then he comes right back down and he throws another interception. Bills go up 39-28 with 3 minutes left. Although, again, I have to say Cincinnati did make a valiant effort. They got a touchdown with about 50 seconds. They got a touchdown in 50 seconds, to cut the lead down 39-34 with 2 minutes and 13 seconds left. But Josh Allen was able to ice the game. It's over for the Bengals. They needed to win out in order to have a chance to win the division, and unfortunately they weren't able to do that because just like usual, A, Joe Burrow had some bad throws, and B, the defense didn't come through. I will say, though, if Joe Burrow wasn't injured this season, they certainly would have had a shot of winning the division, and they would have had a much better shot, but the backup to him wasn't good. They had to bring in Joe Flacco, and Joe Flacco had some good games and whatnot, but the defense gave up a couple games where they should have won because the defense, I don't know. There was one game where Cincinnati had the lead with 30 seconds left, but the other team just came down and get a touchdown. I can't remember which exactly game it was, but I remember Jamar Chase just being pissed off about it afterwards, and Chase Brown saying come on, let's just win the game, and the offense just not being happy with the defense. And yeah, it's just unfortunate for Cincinnati. Joe Burrow, 2 of the past 3 seasons, he's just been injured. And for 3 seasons in a row, they're going to miss the playoffs. And their division isn't exactly great, but their defense is just so awful that I don't know how they're going to be able to just go far in the playoffs if they make it next season. And I don't know how much better their defense is going to get better, to be honest with you, because it doesn't seem like ownership is all that invested in fixing it because they're cheap. They still have Jamar Chase and Higgins, so their offense should be good, but that O-line needs some work, and so does that defense. So they have to make investments, but I'm just not sure they're going to do that. And God forbid if they have another year of missing the playoffs for 4 seasons straight, whether or not Burrow's healthy or not, is just not going to look good for Cincinnati. And again, I've brought this up before. I seriously don't know what Joe Burrow is going to do. And is he going to pull a Carson Palmer where he's like, I would rather retire than play for you guys because this ownership group has just been so awful and they don't even have like a freaking scouting department, which is insane for an NFL team. I mean, they do have a scouting department, but it's not as vast as some of these other teams are. Buffalo, on the other hand, I mean, kudos to them for getting the dub, but honestly, it just feels like Josh Allen has to go super saiyan for them to have a chance in order to win games, and I just don't think that's sustainable. Their defense is just not good enough, despite Sean McDermott being a defensive coach. They don't have a pass rush. They can't cover well, and they don't have great wide receivers on the perimeter. I think that they'll make the playoffs just off of Josh Allen's sheer greatness, and maybe they'll be able to win a game if they get the right matchup. I mean, if they're the fifth seed and they have to either play Pittsburgh or Baltimore, you certainly have a shot of winning that game. But other than that, I just don't think they're going to be able to go far in the AFC, which is disappointing because the AFC is as wide open as it's ever been. So, yeah, I mean, Josh Allen, he just has to carry this team on his back. I mean, honestly, if they had like a couple more wins, you would certainly have him in the MVP conversation. But anyways, I want to move on to the Steelers and Ravens. The Steelers won 27-22. Lamar Jackson was 19 of 39, 219 yards, 1 touchdown, an interception. Aaron Rodgers 23 of 34, 284 yards, and 1 touchdown. And just not a good day for the Ravens. And obviously, the big story of this game, or at least one of the big stories of this game, is Isaiah Likely got screwed out of a touchdown. I mean, he had a couple of steps in the end zone, but the ball got punched out in the end. But I don't think that should matter. I mean, if you're in the end zone, you're in the end zone. Who cares at that point? But whatever. I guess the refs ruled that it wasn't a touchdown, which was just a flat out bad call. And the same thing happened in the Atlanta game, honestly, where Darnell Mooney went out of bounds for a little bit. He reestablished himself and he ran into the end zone, but the refs said that he didn't reestablish himself after going out of bounds, and they ruled that it was incomplete. Uh, Even though on the broadcast they said that he was kind of forced out of bounds and he did reestablish himself. He did get the 2 feet and whatnot. So just two horrible bad calls. I mean, in Atlanta's case, they got blown out, so that call ultimately didn't matter in the end. For Baltimore, it absolutely screwed them over because they could have potentially gotten a dub out of it. And the refs, you just can't miss calls like that. I'm usually against like calling out refs because they have a hard job to do, man, and you're not gonna bat 100% when it comes to getting calls right. It's just impossible. You're reacting in real time, but I mean, in scoring plays where everything is reviewable, you just can't get that wrong. I mean, that's just freaking egregious, and the NFL just has to do a better job. I don't know. Maybe they need to get like New York or somebody involved when it comes to like these type of calls, because I don't know, you just can't have refs missing clear touchdown plays. I mean, missing a holding call, missing a PI call, yeah, that's bad, especially if it happens at a crucial part in the game where it's nip and tuck. But missing scoring plays, that's just flat out egregious. You just can't have that, and the NFL has to do better in that regard. But anyways, going back to this division, like I've said before, this division is mid or slightly below mid. Kudos to the Steelers, man. I thought that they had a chance of losing this game, but just when you think the Steelers are dead, they're somehow able to revive themselves. I mean, they had it against Indianapolis, where it looked like they were dead in the water, and somehow they're able to win that game and force like 5 turnovers. I still don't think they're out of the woods yet in terms of winning the division. They probably have the best odds for sure, but I still think Baltimore has a chance of winning this division because I'm still not all that confident in the Steelers, even though Baltimore does stink. But yeah, even if Baltimore does make the playoffs and they're able to win the division, I'm just not that confident in them. I really wanted to see what they were going to do after a 10-day break, and I thought that, after 10 days, you going against a division rival who seems to be reeling, you'll come out and play your best game, and they just weren't able to play their best game. They were down 17-3 at one point. That's unacceptable. I know I talked about the likely touchdown, but still, they shouldn't have been this bad. They're not going to go far in the playoffs. Lamar looks injured. The offensive line is just not very good, and it's just not in the cards this year. And I talked about this a little bit before with Buffalo, that if they get the fifth seed, they have a chance to win a playoff game if they have to face either Pittsburgh or Baltimore. So whoever is going to be that fifth seed in the AFC, I'm sure that they're just chomping at the bit to get it, because if they do have a chance to get it, then they're probably going to win against Pittsburgh or Baltimore, because neither of them have good offenses and neither of their defenses, honestly, are really all that impressive. Anyways, I want to move on to Colts and Jaguars. The Jaguars won 36-19. Obviously, the big story of this game is Daniel Jones tearing his Achilles and probably being out for the rest of the season, but I will get to that later. This game, it was just cursed from the beginning. First possession of the game, Daniel Jones throws it right to Devin Lloyd, which gives them points. To his credit, though, Daniel Jones did come back and started making throw after throw to tie this game up at 7-7. But Jacksonville, they simply just wouldn't let up, and they wouldn't let the Colts really get back into this game. On a 3rd and 5, Trevor Lawrence threw a 39-yarder to Brian Thomas Jr. That got him a touchdown to get the Jaguars up 14-7. Colts get the ball back, and towards the end of the first quarter, Daniel Jones tears his Achilles. Riley Jones came in, and I think he did the best that he could, but that completely shifted the momentum of the game. Colts in the beginning of the second, down 14-7. Jonathan Taylor fumbles, and Jags get the ball back, and Travis Etienne runs in for a 28-yard touchdown, and they're up 21-7. And I got to give Trevor Lawrence credit for this. He made some big plays in this game, and when he plays games like these, you realize, oh, this is why he was the number one pick in the NFL. And this is why he was deemed as a generational prospect, because there are very few quarterbacks that can do what he does when he's on one. But unfortunately for Trevor Lawrence, he's been very inconsistent, very up and down in his career. And that's just why it just feels like he hasn't been able to hit all of his potential quite yet, and it's just too much of a roller coaster with him. But he was awesome against Indianapolis, and once the Jags went up 21-7, it was practically over. And this sucks for the Colts. I mean, they finally had a competent QB after having Anthony Richardson, who was kind of incompetent. It looked like Steichen finally had someone that he could rely on to play decently at the quarterback position. And it looked like Steichen was finally able to figure things out with his offense, and it just blows for Daniel Jones. Achilles injuries are pretty brutal. Even if Daniel Jones is able to come back next season, I'm not too sure about that. Some doctors are saying it's a 9-month recovery. I don't know how true that is. Maybe it's a year recovery, but even if he does come back, he's not going to look the same, at least not for that first year. It's going to take him time to get back into the thick of things, even if he is available for next season. And I've been critical of Daniel Jones for the past couple weeks with them having a losing streak. But he's proved that, he could play if you surround him with a good roster. And after him getting out of the cesspool of toxicity that was the New York Giants, and him able to play decently well as an Indianapolis Colts, I mean, that takes a lot of mental toughness, and a lot of quarterbacks could have broken down, but he didn't break down, and he was able to come back, fight through, and, play decently. And kudos to him for having that level of mental toughness. Short term, though, for the Colts, I just don't know how they're going to make the playoffs. With this loss, the Jaguars are now ahead of them in the division, and I just think the Colts are going to be out of the playoff picture. Right now, they are out of the playoff picture. Right now, Houston is the 7th seed, and it's going to be a tough schedule for the Colts coming up. They got Seattle, they got San Francisco, they got Jacksonville again, and they got Houston. And truth be told, I don't know how they win any of these games. I mean, considering that it is the NFL, I think they'll probably win one of those games probably. So probably they're going to end their season 9-8, 10-7 if they're lucky. And I said before that the Colts, they had this division all wrapped up, and there's no way that they're going to have a monumental collapse like the Jaguars did in 2023, where they were like 8-3 and they just fell off a cliff. Well, it looks like that's exactly what's going to happen with the Colts, because it looks like they are going to fall off a cliff. And even before Daniel Jones got injured, it looks like they were falling off a cliff. And now this division is between Jacksonville and Houston, and I imagine that both are going to make the playoffs, but it'll be interesting to see who's going to win that division. Now, I want to talk about the Cleveland Browns and Shedeur Sanders specifically. He was 23 of 42, 364 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception, and a loss, 31 of 29 against the Titans. Cam Ward, on the other hand, not particularly great, 14 of 28, 117 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. And the biggest story of this game was Stefanski pulling Shedeur out towards the end of the game for a 2-point conversion to tie this game up at 31-31. And he did some wild card trick play, which evidently didn't work. They went for it on for two earlier in the game to make it 31-25. They failed, so it ended up being 23-31. I don't know why they decided to go for two when you were down an even number points. I don't get what the point of that was. Maybe his thinking was that our defense is not playing well and we need to win the game, but I don't know. I just don't think it was smart. Shedeur, for a rookie and a fifth rounder, he's playing pretty damn well, man. Shedeur stands have annoyed me just like throughout this whole process, going back to the draft with all the conspiracy theories and whatnot. And I still think some of the conspiracy theories are still out there, but I gotta say, I think they may have a point and they may be onto something here. It's clear that Stefanski doesn't rock with Shedeur. That much is evident. I mean, Shedeur played well. He got you pretty far into the game, and I don't know why you would take out your quarterback in the game who got you pretty far with a chance to tie it up. I don't know why Kevin Stefanski did that. That was just ridiculous, and you simply just can't do that. And, based on his comments, you can see that he's not the biggest fan of Shedeur when it came to like earlier in the season when he was starting and him saying like, yeah, I'm not sure he's going to be our starter and whatnot. And it just seems like he was very lukewarm on him at best. And it's very clear that he's not in Shedeur's corner whatsoever. I don't know if Shedeur is going to be a star or not, but he's much better than Dillon Gabriel. That's for damn sure. And they didn't even bother, it looks like, giving Shedeur a chance until Dillon Gabriel went out with a concussion. You want to start Joe Flacco at first? Okay, fine. Veteran quarterback, won a Super Bowl, knows your system very well. Okay, sure. But then they gave Dillon Gabriel 9 games, and he just was not very good at all, honestly. And after 4 or 5 stars of Dillon Gabriel, you couldn't bother giving Shedeur a shot at it. But I don't know. Kevin Stefanski just seemed against it. Because the offense looks much better with Shedeur, I'm wondering why they didn't start him before. I mean, all I heard was, oh, he needs time to pick up the playbook and he can't operate. Well, maybe if you gave him more reps, he would have been able to operate the playbook much better. And I mean, I don't know whether he's picked up the playbook as well as Dillon Gabriel or not. I mean, that's hard to determine. But all I know is that it looks much better with him out there than it does Dillon Gabriel, and that's for damn sure. And it's clear that Shedeur should not be in Cleveland because the owner said he didn't want him there. Kevin Stefanski, based on his actions, doesn't rock with him. So that only leaves one person who really wanted him there, and that's Andrew Berry. And I've said this before, but when it comes to a quarterback, your head coach has to agree on him. And as a general manager, you shouldn't force your quarterback on a head coach. Now, Shedeur was a fifth rounder, so maybe that's why Andrew Berry forced on Kevin Stefanski just to see what he's got. Dillon Gabriel was a third-round pick, so I guess maybe their mindset was he's probably going to get the starts anyways, and we think that he's better than Shedeur. But anyways, this has just been a recipe for disaster. Stefanski, I don't know. It might be time for him to go, and honestly, it might be time for Andrew Berry to go also. The QB situation has just been a flat-out disaster. And the owner, he has something to do with the quarterback situation being a disaster because he played a big part in them trading for Deshaun Watson and giving him a $230 million contract. And to say the least, the man has flat out been horrible. And now Schefter is saying that they plan to have him on the roster next season, Deshaun Watson. I don't know what that means, and if that means they're going to give him playing time or whatnot, or give him a chance to win his job back. But that would be dumb. I mean, it's over for Deshaun Watson. I mean, he was trashed when he was on the Browns, and with this, Achilles injury or whatever, he's probably not going to be any good. And honestly, I just think they need a new set of head coach and general manager just to fix this whole situation that is the Cleveland Browns, because they just don't have any talent really whatsoever. Stefanski has been a two-time coach of the year, but I don't know. He screwed up the quarterback situation. He fought with Baker. He screwed him over by making him play through a harmful shoulder injury where Baker looked bad, and they tried to pin Baker looking bad all on him when they knew that he had a bad shoulder injury, and they didn't protect him whatsoever at all. Then, Deshaun Watson, and now Shedeur, and now Dylan Gabriel. I don't know. It's just not in it for him in Cleveland, and I don't think that they're going to be able to fix the situation. Maybe he can go somewhere else and be better, but I just think it's time to move on and find a new general manager and head coach, and hopefully someone that can be on Shadeur's side. Again, like I said, I don't know if he's going to be a star or not, but let's see what the kid's got, because he's certainly showing some potential for sure. And I'd like him to be with the head coach and general manager who have his back and are in his corner, and hopefully can surround him with more talent. And yeah, that's all I have for you guys. I will be back Wednesday to break down a Monday Night Football between the Chargers and the Eagles. That should be a pretty interesting game. Definitely a lot of stakes associated with that one, and I'll be talking about some more NFL stuff and maybe a little bit NBA stuff if anything is going on in that league. And yeah, that's all I have for you guys. Please enjoy the rest of your evening. Please like and subscribe. Thanks.